It's March 11th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a wave that triggered a nuclear nightmare, a disappearance hidden in plain sight for years, and a staged tragedy built around a curse that refused to fade. Let's begin. On March 11, 2011, the ground beneath Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant shook with one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded. Minutes later, the ocean arrived. A massive tsunami surged towards the coast of Fukushima Prefecture, overwhelming seawalls and flooding entire towns. But the most dangerous wave struck somewhere few people could see, inside the nuclear power station. When water crashed into Fukushima Daiichi, it downed the plant's emergency generators. In seconds, the facility lost electricity needed to cool its nuclear reactors. Power gone, cooling gone. Inside the reactor cores, temperatures began to climb. Operators scrambled through the dark control rooms only lit by emergency lights, trying to understand what had happened. Alarms sounded, systems failed, hydrogen gas began building inside the damaged reactor buildings. Then explosions started. Across the complex, massive blasts ripped through the air, sending plumes of smoke and debris skyward. Entire reactor buildings were tore open. Radiation fears spread across Japan, forcing the evacuation of more than 100,000 people. Yet, while the world watched the disaster unfold, a group of workers stayed behind. They would later be called the Fukushima 50, a name that was partly myth, but the reality was no less haunting. Engineers, firefighters, and technicians moved through the damaged structure, filled with rising radiation, manually opening valves and pumping seawater into overheating reactors, all while unsure how much exposure they were receiving. Their mission was simple: prevent something even worse. What made Fukushima especially eerie is how invisible the danger was. Long after the explosion faded from the news, the real work and the real risk continued. On March 11, 1989, a 14-year-old girl vanished from a quiet home in Hamilton, Michigan. Her name was Aundria Bowman. That morning, she had been reported missing by her adopted family. According to the story given at the time, she had run away, another troubled teen who had simply disappeared into the unknown, and for years that explanation stayed in place. Police files labeled as a runaway case. Leads faded and time passed, but somewhere else, someone was still searching. Her biological mother, Kathy Tertanium, had placed her daughter for adoption years earlier. She believed the child had grown up safely with another family. The daughter, who she had given away, hadn't been living somewhere else. She'd been missing for more than 20 years. That discovery triggered a renewed search for answers, one that slowly unraveled the story everyone had accepted for decades. Investigators began revisiting old statements, old timelines, and the man who had reported her missing, her adopted father, Dennis Bowman. The truth that emerged was far darker than any runaway case. Authorities eventually confirmed that she had never run away at all. Her adopted father was later convicted of her murder, finally closing a mystery that had lingered for decades. She didn't simply vanish, she had disappeared into paperwork, while the truth awaited quietly for the past to become uncovered. On March 11, 1851, the doors of the theater opened with the dim evening air in Venice. Inside, composer Giuseppe Verdi was about to unveil a new opera, one that many believed should have never been performed at all. The work was called Rigoletto. Its origins were already controversial. The story had been adapted from a banned play by Victor Hugo, a dark tale about power, corruption, and revenge that had unsettled authorities across Europe. Even before opening night, the government censors had demanded changes, fearing that the story's theme were too dangerous for the stage. But the most haunting element of the opera wasn't political, it was a curse. In the story, the jester named Rigoletto mocks a desperate father who is responsible for placing a curse on him. What follows is a slow and terrifying unraveling, as every attempt to escape the curse only pulls him closer to tragedy. One particular melody, a simple, irresistible tune, was kept secret during rehearsals. Singers were warned not to repeat it outside the theater, fearing that the song might spread before opening night. But secrecy didn't last long. By the very next day, street vendors across Venice were already singing the melody. It had escaped, almost like the curse in the opera itself, spreading quietly, invisibly through the city. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.